Another Ants on a Rock video. Welcome to the Ant Corner. Hey there ant fans, I'm super excited to show you this build. This is my scorpion's home. It's gonna need a name, so join my Discord where you can vote on the name for my scorpion and its home. So I'm going to show you how I built this tank. I've skipped the section where I put in a drainage layer and my separating layer. It's the same as I always do. A couple of inches of gravel and then a plastic bag torn up with holes in it to fit the bottom. This is nice and snug and the water will drain through. Next thing is I go in with some activated carbon. This is really important to a bioactive build as it helps the filtration process for all the water passing over it as it works its way through the substrate will filter and end up nice clean water in the drainage layer, ready to evaporate and start the water cycle again. So I go in with a nice covering layer of this all around the tank, making sure I get in all the spots and really making sure that the separating layer works its way flat. Next I'm going to go in with some sphagnum moss. I use this in any tropical environment as it really helps increase the humidity when you add water to it. It retains probably about 10 times its own weight in water, so it's really great for soaking it up and keeping that humidity high. So as I'm scattering it about, I'm thinking about how I'm going to build the tank as well, placing it deeper towards the back and in this far corner. This is where I think the hide's going to be. I'm also going to have a secondary hide on the other side, so that if it does want less humid conditions, it can move over. I'll be placing a heat pad directly in the middle at the back to generate that extra heat that the scorpion might like. Coming from a tropical environment, they like it warm, but they are fine at room temperature as well, as long as the ambient room temperature doesn't drop too low, which it never does in this room. As you can see, I put in a nice good layer of the sphagnum moss, pretty much covering the whole tank, and as I said, thicker towards the back and to this right hand side. Then it was time to add in my base layer of soil. Not the full depth, but just about half is what I use as a base layer. This gives me a good direction when I try to add hardscape and other bits later on. I called it soil, but this is actually my own special mix of substrate, which I can't tell you what it is. Next on the list is hardscape. So I managed to get hold of this awesome massive log. It's completely hollow all the way through, so I think it would be perfect as a hide. So let's find a good place for it in the tank. Exactly where I was planning it was in this right hand corner, and it looks really good like that. I'm just going to have a quick mess about and see if it does look better anywhere else. Trying it on the other side, it doesn't really fit in that corner, not in a nice way, so I am going to stick to where I wanted it originally, in this right hand side, on top of the big piles of sphagnum moss. Now I've got the largest piece of hardscape in, I'm going to fill in the areas around it with some more of my substrate. So I'm going to fill in the back so it comes up to about the right level for them to walk over and not drop down basically. I'm going to build it up level with the log, that's a better way to say it. And I'm going to build it up higher towards the back. I always like to build my terrariums and bioactive builds higher towards the back. This gives off more surface area and generally is better for viewing whatever's in the tank. I am speeding this up for you as well, believe it or not, I do not move this fast. And back to normal speed before we all get dizzy. Now this is an awful camera angle with awful reflections, so I'm really sorry for that. But as you can see next, it's time to start planting some plants. Now these are ferns that have grown up in my multi-species tank. If you want to check out my multi-species tank, I'll post a link to the whole playlist up in the top corner now. As I was saying, I really like these ferns. They've grown up in my multi-species tank. They've grown from seeds that have dropped into the substrate off the mother plants as such. And basically they were growing where they weren't needed. So I've gone in this morning and pulled some up, roots and all, and I'm just going to plant them into this tank. Now we know from the multi-species tank that they grow like massive really fast, so they will fill out this tank fairly fast and make it look really cool. Now believe it or not, I cannot pronounce the name of this fern. To be honest, I can't even read it to try and pronounce it, so I'm just going to write it just here for you. I'm going to plant one at the back behind the log, and that will fill out all of that area nicely as well. Just these 3 plants should be more than enough for now. Again, excuse this awful camera angle and awful reflection. So at this point, I'm just putting in some of my springtails for my springtail culture. I culture them in soil and I feed them mainly on fish flakes and a few other things. There's also some leaf cuttings in there just because I know they like it. They do require watering as well, I may as well say that. So I spray them down, mist them, and I quite often give them just a chunk of cucumber because they seem to really like cucumber as well. My next job is to start laying in some more hardscape pieces. So for this I've just got some small stones that I've used in previous builds and salvaged back. Again, sorry for the awful reflections. But as you can see, I'm just placing them about randomly really. Dropping them in, making it look natural. That's the main idea. So now I'm done with adding in the hardscape. I'm going to put in the water bowl. Now this is just a shallow water dish filled with some cleaned gravel and then some water in there as well. The idea of it is that the scorpion won't be able to drown from drinking from the gravel, but there should be enough access to water to have a good drink, basically. Next, to make it all a bit more natural and a little bit more inviting, I'm going to sprinkle some more sphagnum moss over the top of the enclosure, just all around, as you would find on the forest floor, just bits of litter everywhere. Speaking of litter, I'm also going to put in some leaf litter. I'll do that in a second, after I put a lot of sphagnum moss into the log. Now, if the scorpion goes in there, it'll be really nice to have that sphagnum moss in there. It could kick it out as it sees fit, or it could use it, whatever. But I think it will really enjoy having some sphagnum moss in there. When the scorpion arrived with me, it came in a big thing of sphagnum moss, so it must like it. Now you may say, why am I so crazy? Why am I putting in this large piece of hardscape right at the end of the build? And I'll tell you, I forgot I had it. So this is what the second hide is going to be under. Just enough there for the scorpion to start digging a burrow if it wants to. So having moved some of the hardscape pieces around and sphagnum moss and pushed the plant back slightly, it now fits perfectly. And I'm just going around the edges with a bit of my sand. This will just create a bit of diverse landscape within the tank, and I like a bit of diversity. Next thing I'm going to do is add in a culture of tropical grey isopods. Again, these are tropical grey isopods that I've cultured myself. They will help break down any waste matter and leftover exoskeletons, aiding the springtails in that role as a cleanup crew. I took that chance to put the leaf litter in. Now I'm going to put in 4 darkling beetles. These are the ones that breed Mario worms. Again, I've cultivated these myself. I'm adding them mainly as a treat for the scorpion, as I'm sure he'll enjoy hunting them. And if any of them do lay eggs which turn into worms, I'm sure when they hatch into beetles, he'll enjoy hunting them as well. I have been warned that the worms might attack him whilst he's in his molting stage, but I'm really hoping that he burrows in this log and he'll be safe and sound from any worms. So here is my Asian tropical forest scorpion. Its real name is there. This thing's so cool. I've never actually seen a scorpion in real life before, so to me this is absolutely mind-blowing. And it's time to put him in the tank. Already as I picked him up, and I say him, I don't actually know if it's a he or she yet. I haven't had a chance to sex him, but I will at some point. Straight away as I picked him up, he's gone into defensive position. Claws open and a stinger up and ready to strike. Although these are quite gentle creatures really, try not to use their stinger if they don't have to. They would rather use their claws to attack things. And it won't hurt that much even if it did use its stinger. Sort of like a wasp's sting, but slightly worse. Now to coax it out of the box, I'm letting it reverse itself out backwards by just distracting it and tapping it on its claws with my tweezers. This way it causes very little stress and no harm to the scorpion, giving it a chance to just move in on its own steam. And as you can see, now it's in the tank, it looks fairly happy. Let's have a little watch for a minute. Now, as I had hoped and predicted, it has gone into the log to create a home and a burrow. So we probably won't see it again until late at night, as these are mainly nocturnal. It will also hunt live prey, so it's going to need dubia roaches and things like that trapped in regularly. The plants will be on an 8-hour day and night cycle, with the lights being on for just 8 hours during the day. And this is because this is in a part of the ant corner which gets no natural light. I will also be misting down this enclosure once a week at a minimum, or every few days if I feel it needs it. I hope you enjoyed that build video. I really enjoyed doing it and I was super excited about my scorpion. If you want to help name him, then join the Discord. We're having a vote on there. If you want to help name the tank, terrarium, whatever you want to call it, join my Discord. All the votes are going on in there and it's going to be super exciting. I can't wait to actually have a name for him finally. So make sure you join the Discord and get voting. Also, don't forget you can check out my Patreon via the links in my description. Any support from my channel would be absolutely amazing. I've only got one Patreon supporter so far, so he's an absolute legend. But any extras, anyone wants to support this channel, it'd be absolutely amazing if you could. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, press that little bell icon, it helps me out massively. As always, you know this for content creators like myself, helps us massively just pressing that little button, and it takes you about 12 seconds. So if you could do that for me, it'd be absolutely amazing. If you do hit that subscribe button, you will see in the future that I'm still going to keep developing this tank. It's not quite finished yet. I want to add a couple more plants. I want to add some mosses in and just make it look a little bit more pretty. But I was so eager to just get this build done. I couldn't wait for all my suppliers to send the stuff to me, which they are doing. So that video is not far off. Speaking of videos not far off, I am trying to film the multi-species tank at the moment, so make sure that you're keeping your eyes out for that. It's going to be an absolute cracking video. It's just taking a bit longer because some of the insects and inhabitants are being a bit elusive at the moment, and I'm not able to get any footage of them because they just haven't come out of hiding. But as soon as they do, I will get that footage and I will put it in the video and I will post it up for you. And a massive thanks to my Patreon supporter, Kevin Rogerson. If you want to join my Patreon and support my YouTube channel, then follow the link in the description. It'd be absolutely amazing to get some more names up there. And as always from me, see you again, ant fans.